Hey, Roadrunners. Welcome back to Live Medallion. I'm sorry it's a Tuesday night edition. I didn't get to do Victory Sunday. I had a bug going through the household. I was not feeling my best. I'm finally feeling good enough to actually do a video. Anyway, I should have at least started a 2-minute video and say victory. But with that being said, let's clear the air. Let's clear the air. Let's clear the air. Anyone who says an on-campus stadium is better than the Alamo Dome obviously didn't see the 17,536 people that were in DAT CU Stadium, formerly Apogee Stadium, home of the North Texas Mean Green, right? That's all that showed up for that game. Now, they're in the midst of not a good season. That's true. That's true. I'll give that to you. But still only 17,000 people. They have 30,000 students, don't they? So where there are 13,000 students that the stadium's closer to, why aren't they all there? Now that that argument's completely done and over with, I'll take my 25,000 every week like clockwork in the Alamo Dome in a heartbeat. Don't have to worry about weather. Don't have to worry about wind. Don't have to worry about rain, right? Heat, whatever. It's exactly what both teams can play in, right? Doesn't matter where you're from. It's the same for both teams. Now, with that being said, let's spit some more facts. Memphis went into Denton. They had to win in Denton. They won 45-42. That means they gave up 42 points to UNT. UNT had the lead at one time. That was never the case for our Roadrunners, right? Never the case. We went out, got out early, got jumped on them early. That's another good sign. Here was the best sign. I said our defensive line was going to have to play their tails off and stop the run. And they straight up stopped the run. The defensive line really did. That quarterback escaped a lot of times, and we got him early. And that set the tone for the game. Yeah, I know we gave up 29 points, right? I know they got their share of points in the second half. But so do we, right? I mean, we won 37-29. We had the ball with 4 minutes to go. They couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop us. We just kept the ball, kneeled down on it. That was beautiful, beautiful. Defensively, I really liked how well we defended most of the plays. They got some chunk plays, but they didn't get the big plays, except for that one time. And then Rashad came in and stripped that ball away, and we forced the turnover. What's interesting is if you look at this game, especially up in Denton, I think North Texas had 3 turnovers this game. If we go back the previous year, I think UTSA had 4. And the year before that, in 2019, UTSA had 3 or 4 turnovers. This game, when you play in Denton, it's about turnovers. Who protects the ball wins that football game. There's some magic going on in North Denton for how North Texas in Denton, how they play, especially when it comes to who they are. They were 3-6, right? 3-5. We made them 3-6. They didn't play like a 3-win team because they're better than a 3-win team. And everybody knows it. They got no defense. In fact, if they had a defensive line, we lose that football game. And they're probably only got 1 loss on the season, right? No doubt about that. Now let's talk about defensive and offensive lines a little bit deeper. Man, I'm telling you, Evans, Triplett, those guys, they get that push. We got some guys who can play. I know people are talking about that there's scouts in the stands and scouts coming to practice because there's some guys who have next level talent. They really do. They really, really do. And it's not the guys you think that have it, right? The guys that everyone loves to say think that have it are the ones that are they're the glue, they're the captains, they're putting these other guys in position, right? They're allowing those other guys to be stars. And I told you, I said last year, starting this year, we just take 3 guys out, put 3 new guys in. And it's almost like they're the same 3 guys, but we know they're not. But that's hard to block because you see another guy come out He's the same 6'2", 6'3", 285 pounds, 300 pounds, whatever. They all look the same. There's six big old boys who go out there and they just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, right? Now, our offensive line is gelling. Our offensive line is gelling awesomely. I think we've got Houston Thomas is really turning into a downfield threat to where Cardenas can kind of stay at home a little bit, and we don't need to send him over the middle as much. And that really opened up some holes for Kavorian. Kavorian, interestingly, said in his post-game interview with the network, they asked him about it. He goes, look, let me tell you something. He basically, to paraphrase, the offensive line did their job and they don't get enough credit. They don't get enough love, but he wouldn't have been able to do what he did without their work. And they did really create some holes for him. But let me tell you something. He rewarded them. And when you get backs, that when they get to that second level and you're out there, you've created a hole for him, you've sold out to get him out there, and he puts his head down and he hits that defensive back, he hits that lineman, and he gets another 2 yards, it's easier to block for him 48 minutes later in the game, right? And that's kind of what happened, right? So let's go ahead and let's look at the stats, right? I'm going to pull this up really, really quick. Boom. Team stats. They had a lot. Don't think they didn't. This is what's mind-boggling. So they had 459 yards of offense. We had 421, right? They were 9 of 16 on third down. They were 2 of 2 on fourth down. We were 2 of 2 on fourth down also, right? They had 272 yards passing. That's a lot in this. That's a lot in the modern time rules, right? But they only had 187 yards rushing, right? And this is a team that loves to run the ball. Team that loves to run the ball. And if I go by box score, Adai got 105. He had a pretty good game. The other guy got 62, and Rodgers 20. I think Rodgers being able to escape really, really wore our guys out, run defense. But we did what we needed to do. We stayed home. They worked for 187 yards, and that's just magnificent. Kavorian had his 129, but we went, our worst rusher was Robert Henry with 13 for 43. Frank had 53 yards on 10 carries. We basically averaged over 5 yards a carry. It took them 39 carries to get their 187, right? He was 20 of 38. Frank only threw the ball 25 times. I don't think I've ever seen the Roadrunners do this, even when we had Sincere McCormick. I'd have to go back and look. You guys, keep me honest. Did we ever have a game like that? To where it was just all running? Now, what does that do? We found a team that we could run the ball against. We stuck with it. We got extra practice in pushing guys around, running the balls around those guys, right? Running the ball, cuts, all that fun stuff, man. That matters. That kind of it's in-game practice at the same time. That's why you can't just turn around and say, just throw it. You've got to find a way to work on every aspect of your game, even in game, when you have that game. And I think that's really what made the game a little easier for the Roadrunners, was the fact that we were able to work on that. And we kind of kept the ball away from the mean green. I think we kept the ball away from more than we actually really just went out and beat them. It sounds weird to say, right? But when you run the ball like that, you just run the ball, because we didn't keep time of possession. I'm gonna look at team stats again. I don't think we had time of. We did 32. Well, 32 because we ran the ball. Those 5 minutes matter. Those 5 minutes matter a lot, right? And we kept it on our side of the offense. I would say our side of the field, but our side of the offense, right? We kept it away from them. We were able to run the ball. We were able to convert, timely passing, right? And a lot of those incompletions, Frank rolling out and just throwing away, not losing yards, right? There was one time where I felt like Frank should have handed the ball off, and I felt like it would have been a really big pass, but he went for the pass option. And then when he got out there, he could have cut it upfield. It was somewhere in the third quarter, and he could have kept the clock running, and he probably could have got about 4 yards. We ended up converting after the fact. We still converted on the next play, right? So it didn't really burn us. But what I'm saying is he probably could have got 5 yards, slid forward, dove forward. I'm not big for the slide because the way they rule the slide, because you kind a lot of times you watch these quarterbacks when they slide, they kind of get burned sliding because they're not as far up the field as they think. Whereas if you just like dive forward, right, slide forward, then you know they don't do that to you, and you get a better spot. He could have done that and kept the clock running. We still convert on the next play. But you know what, Frank? A bad decision led to a missed decision, but led to a great decision on this thing to just throw it away. Don't take the hit. Once you didn't commit to running it up the field, just throw it away. You're out of thing. That's hard to quantify, other than the fact that as you live to play another down, you don't lose yardage. And that was huge. That was a huge play, right? But Danye getting that pass interception, running it 78 yards. He went from the 12 to the 10-yard line. Man, you could tell he was gassed. But he didn't go out of bounds. He ran it down the sideline, which is what you really should do. Because then if you fumble, you have a 50-50 chance, well, 25% chance the ball goes out of bounds, right? You're minimizing your chance. But if he tries to cut it back, fumbles in the middle of the field, it doesn't get out of bounds. So he did the right thing going down the sideline. That's always a smart thing. If you can take it down the sideline, take it down the sideline, right? Better things can happen. You have a chance of better things happening if you fumble the football. Now, do you think we miss McEwen? I think we miss McEwen, and I hope he's ready for Rice. I hope that he's out of protocol. It's got to be protocol, unless there's some strain in his neck with the way he hit the ground. But he's definitely needed big time against Rice. I feel like we've got to make Rice an easy game. I'm not going to say we're out of our biggest games of the season. We are literally done with our biggest games of the season. I know. You're going to say, hear me out. Hear me out before you truly disagree with me. Starting this season, if you were to be told the Roadrunners would win 5 games in conference, right? Pick the 5 games you would have wanted them to win, right? And I guarantee you probably say Rice, UNT, FAU, UAB. UAB's been a thorn in our side, right? Maybe revenge on FAU. There's 5, right? Well, we got Temple. We got Eastern Carolina. Yeah, we got 3 games left. We get Rice. We go 6 wins. I don't think any of these games are, from a program standpoint, long-lasting as big as getting revenge on North Texas in Denton. It is a revenge game. Danye talked about it in his interview, right? They try to tell the kids that weren't there in 2021 how big this game was and how much it meant. That's why I said that's a big game. Now, I want us to win every game. I told y'all, I said, I felt Rice would have been one of our only 3 wins. Well, guess what? We got 5 now. We've got Rice, USF, and Tulane left to go. I'll talk about those games separately. But with the way these kids are playing, the way these kids are tackling, the way these kids are blocking, sky's the limit. But I don't think that they're necessarily that important from a program standpoint. Let's put it this way. From a program standpoint, going undefeated in conference, is that more important than winning a bowl game right now? Getting to a bowl game and winning a bowl game? I think winning that bowl game, getting off the schneid, as they love to say, getting that first bowl win is huge for our program, right? I think that's now the biggest marker. Because Here's the thought process for a lot of fans. Oh, yay, you can win your conference. Your conference ain't so good. But what do you do against the other competition, right? Well, they completely gloss over that, yes, we've lost 3 bowl games, right? 4, right? We're on 4 in bowl games. True. That's absolutely true. That's a fair assessment. But are you glossing over when they say, who have you beaten? Well, I guess New Mexico isn't anybody. I guess New Mexico State isn't anybody, right? Who else is in our conference that we've beaten? Think about what I'm saying. In regular season, to get where we were, to get to bowl games, Illinois, Memphis, Houston in these years, right? Yeah, you're right. They're nobodies. We beat nobodies, right? See, we don't get credit for that. That's why I'm saying you kind of got to get off the schneid, then you put it all together. Well, hey, if we put it all together this year and that, then boom, sign me up, take my subscription. I'm ready to go for the rest of my life, right? Ain't gonna lie. Now, one more fun fact. Check this out. We only had 23 first downs. UNT had 24 first downs, more than us. 24 first downs, 1 more than us, not 24 more than us. If you look at this is an even-Steven game, like I said, until turnovers. Right? 1 fumble, 2 interceptions. That's a defense being where they're supposed to be. That's a defense doing what a defense is supposed to do, creating those turnovers. But like I said, we scored when we needed to score. We stopped them when we needed to stop them. And we're golden. Frank seems to be getting a little healthier. He's a little spunkier. It's going to happen. I don't believe we're going to see JT for the rest of the year. So that's why we need McEwen back. I think we need Chris Carpenter to continue to develop. We definitely are seeing, what's his name? Let me look at box score. My bad for receiving. Willie McCoy, he's definitely coming along. He's turning out to be like our little slot guy. Who knew, right? Hey, those guys that are stepping up. We had 5 different receivers, which isn't bad for our type of offense. We don't have an offense that's going to throw it to 8 different receivers, right? 13 catches for 134 yards. That's over 10 yards catch. Anytime a pass that's completed is for a first down, typically, right? First down yardage, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. So, how do you feel? Tell me, like, comment, subscribe. How do you feel? How do you feel the rest of this season is playing out? I'm scared because I'm getting a good feeling about the rest of this season. Now, here's the problem. I'm going to do it in my next video. I'm going to do how the conference is shaking up tomorrow, right? But I believe we have to win out to make the championship game. Simply because the way you expect other teams to play, that if we win out, we give Tulane a loss, we take the tiebreaker over Tulane, and we hope that Memphis loses. I think our only real recourse is if we win out, is if we either play Tulane and how could this work out? I really think it's either us against Memphis or us against Tulane. A rematch. And I don't want a rematch. I think that's dumb. Conferences needed divisions, and I'll talk about this also. Because I think it's dumb that you just take the best 2 and then play again for the championship if you've already played in the regular season. It's not like you have to beat other people to get there again, right? If it was like a 4-team playoff and you said the top 4, and then you put whoever's number 1, played number 4, number 2, played number 3, then guess what? Then okay. Because chances are 1 through 4, not everybody played everybody. Which, case in point here, the top 4 teams UTSA will only play Tulane. They won't have played Memphis or SMU, right? Now, those teams could lose out, and then another weird one could happen is FAU could win out, have 2 losses, and with their winning out, they could find themselves in the championship game with a rematch against UTSA. And that's it, because everybody else has too many losses already. Think about that. That would be weird, wouldn't it? See, that's what you make division. And if you can't win your division, you can't win the conference. I don't care if you're better than every team on the other side. It's just how it works. It's worked beautifully for the SEC since 1992. How many championships they win in college football? They've really not had an upset either. I mean, there might have been a team there with a better record, but I guarantee you the best team still won that championship game. But they've not had a team that had like 4 losses beat a team with undefeated or no losses. In fact, I think the worst is like 1 loss Florida beat undefeated Alabama. And maybe one other situation like that. That's it. But in conference, they were both undefeated. So there you go, right? All right, brothers. This was a longer video. Let's keep it going, Roadrunners. Peace out. Birds up. And oh, by the way, our basketball team is undefeated in basketball this year. 9 out of the 10 American Athletic Conference teams that played on Monday won. Only UAB lost. Peace out. Birds up.